Hi, I'm Kathy Labosh. I am the mother of not one but 2 boys with autism, and I am also the author of The Child with Autism at Home and in the Community. And I really want to give you the story as to how this tip booklet came about. When my boys were young, it was in the early 1990s, and while autism is well known now, my husband was a family practice doctor, and when he had gone to medical school, he was told that autism was so rare he would probably never see a case of it in his lifetime. Well, needless to say, they were wrong. And when we were struggling with having 2 kids with autism, what was going on with autism is people were trying to find cures, which I appreciated, but what I really wanted and needed was someone to tell me, how do I keep my kids with me in the supermarket? How do I get them to go to sleep? How about going to the doctor? Everything that was needed for ordinary life, you just had to make up on your own. And it was bad enough with 1 child with autism, but having to do everything in your life with 2 children with autism was extremely difficult. A lot of these tips in this book came from hard-won experience. I also have a co-author of this book, Lenita Miller, who was a special education teacher, and she was the early intervention teacher for both of my children, and she also helped raise them. And she provided some of the tips for this book because, frankly, there are some areas I'm just not qualified to talk about, and my friends would be rolling on the floor laughing their head off at the idea of me giving advice on those topics. So sometimes you need help. Nobody is a super mom. But right now I want to talk to you about an area that is probably near and dear to your hearts, and that is, how do we get the kid to go to sleep at night? Because frankly, my kids were 1 bad night's sleep away from having a psychotic mom. And that was not good for anybody. My 2 kids were on opposite ends of the spectrum. One was sensory seeking, the other was sensory avoidant. And my younger son, Nicky, was truly the problem. He was hyperactive, and he would just get more and more and more active as the night went on, and also more and more sensitive. And every time Nicky started crying, then Sam would start crying, and then there'd be screaming, and someone would be off in the closet hiding, hitting themselves, and the other person was out on a car ride, and it was chaos just about every night. A breakthrough came for me when I realized that the only time my son actually slowed down was when he was sitting in front of a television set. So what I did is I went and put a television set with video next to his bed on the floor. So if he wanted to watch it, the best angle for watching the TV was to lay in bed and watch it. And that gave him a chance for his body to slow down and go to sleep. Another thing I found is that if I put flannel sheets on the bed instead of regular sheets, they weren't as cold. You got into bed and it was nice and warm. You didn't have that freezing thing, or you just got one part of the bed warm and you move a leg and all of a sudden you were cold again. Flannel sheets, nice, soft, keep the whole bed warm. There was also a kid that didn't like to go to sleep unless there was a light on, so we got a light with a dimmer switch, and we would slowly turn the lights down. And if his feet was cold, he wasn't able to go to sleep. And I found if you put socks on his feet it would help him go to sleep. If he hadn't eaten in a while, he would also be wound up and hard to get to sleep. But if I gave him just a little something that obviously had no sugar in it, it would just calm him down enough and he'd go and he would zonk out. There are a lot more tips for family life in this book, and I recommend highly that you get this book or give it to friends that have children with autism. These are tips that, frankly, only the parent of another child with autism can give you. This book, The Child with Autism at Home and in the Community, is available from Future Horizons, which is the largest autism publishing company in the world. And their website is www.fhautism.com. And this is Kathy Labosh wishing you a good night's sleep.